Today we're going to talk about making HDR photos. As you can see here, this is a photo that just kind of takes your breath away. There's a lot of detail and color that goes on in this photo. And this is an example of what you can do with HDR. So basically what HDR is a compiling of different types of photographs taken from the exact same angle and then adjusted in different ways, so each part of the photo comes out with different details. So to begin, I want to show you a few other types of HDR photographs. This is one of the ones I like the least, is where someone just kind of is playing with an HDR program to achieve a sort of surreal effect. As you can see, there's a lot of the detail is showing, but overall the image is very flat. There's not a lot of contrast. So to start with one of these photographs, you need to take a picture with your camera. One like this. This is what your camera thinks is correct based on the lighting it's presented with. It pulls out some details. There's a little bit of darker detail in these trees here. And then we'll need to have an overexposed image where all the details that were dark in the previous picture are brought out more. And then lastly, we'll need to take a picture where we can get some more of this detail in these lighter areas. So we'll need an underexposed image. And there's a variety of ways to do this. You can take these pictures yourself, adjusting the aperture and shutter speeds to get darker and lighter pictures. Some cameras even let you bracket your photos to get those different looks. And this person actually combined all three of these images in an HDR program to come up with this image. So as you can see, there's a lot of detail in each area of the photo. The middle ground, the darker, and the really light areas. And even the colors were adjusted to kind of make it pop out a little bit more. To begin, we're going to talk about a program you can download for free. It's called Luminance. Luminance is available on all operating systems. You can have 64-bit Windows version, a 32-bit Windows version, a Mac as well. So we're going to go with the Mac version since that's what I'm running. And SourceForge is a site that offers up quite a few open source products. That's where we're downloading from today. Once the software installs, you can open the installer, and it'll run through its setup. And since I'm a Mac user, I can just drag this to my applications folder. I can close these now. And then I can run Luminance. And if you get this message, just click open. Now I'll be able to work with Luminance. So now we're going to create a new HDR image. And we'll go through the steps. And this is where you'll need to have your three images already taken. So I have my properly exposed image, my underexposed image, and my overexposed image. So I'll select all three of these and click open. And the software will determine the exposure, and then we can just click next. The next window that opens up is gives you some more control over this. I just leave the defaults. I'll just click next, and then leave the defaults again, and we'll just click finish. There's a variety of ways to start working in Luminance. There are different operators that give you different controls, and each of those operators are available down in this little tray here. As you can see, each one thinks it should look a certain way based on the operator that it's given. I prefer the first one because it gives you the most obvious controls over your picture. Unfortunately, it doesn't adjust on the fly, so we'll have to click tone map each time that we want to see what our picture looks like. So to begin, we can go up here and start adjusting the contrast. And this one seems a little bit counterintuitive. If I believe that I'm increasing the contrast, but when I click tone map, it actually seems to kind of wash out. So it kind of just playing around with the settings until you see something that you like. I actually prefer something a little more on this end, so I get more detail in the clouds. Some of the detail comes back in the building as well. Saturation, we'll increase that to bring some of the colors out. I have to adjust a little bit more to see some drastic improvements. That's a little too much. The way I view working with HDR images is I want to reproduce a photo that I saw with my own eyes that my camera couldn't quite capture. So that's kind of what HDR, in my mind, does for my photography. You can start adding some detail, but then this is where we get into that realm of it looks kind of odd and a little bit too much texture. I mean, if that's what the effect you're going for, that's great. But in my mind, it kind of quickly ruins the photo. So I'm going to leave that a little bit on the lower spectrum. Pre-gamma gives you some control over the saturation of your pictures as well. As you can see, you can drag it to the right, it becomes more grayscale, and then you drag it back to the left, colors become more and more bold. I'll just restore that to where it was. Actually, I might bump that color just a little bit. And now we have a photograph that looks a little bit more like what I saw the night I took this picture before a storm rolled in. Once you're satisfied with the way your picture looks, you can go to the result size and choose the highest resolution and click Save As, and then this will make an HDR image. I'll just replace the one that I already have, and I'll click Save. Now I have my HDR image that I can post to Flickr, share with family and friends, stuff like that. It's probably good practice to keep your original images in case you want to go back and try something else out with these HDR programs, or even try a different HDR program if you get more into this as a hobby or a profession and want to try something a little bit more professional.